You want to shred. But it looks quite intimidating. The great news is that you will be able to do it for sure. We all just have or had to start at some point. So for today's video, I'd like to show you 5 easy but fast shred licks. Those are 5 of the concepts that I personally started out with, and they're a lot of fun. So let's not waste any more time and start shredding right away. Before we begin, I have to show you the mind-blowing graph once again. If you're not a real part of our shred community here on YouTube, make sure to change that right now. That way you will also never miss helpful and hopefully entertaining videos like that one. So with the graph out of the way, let's get to work. So in retrospect, I basically started my shredding journey by getting my right hand in shape for different tremolo riffs and licks. And that's exactly what I can really recommend in the beginning before tackling very complicated topics like hand synchronization and super complicated shred licks and fingerings in 4-note per string scales or exotic scales and all of that stuff. But that doesn't mean that you have to do that all day. As soon as you develop the basic feeling for your alternate picking technique and the overall motion, you can start with more creative ideas like that one, for example. The example I chose also sounds really cool. It has that kind of harmonic minor and neoclassical influence. So the cool thing about this one is that you're also only playing on one string. So I'm kind of visualizing the scale that I want to play just on the high E string. So you don't have to worry about the string transitions with this one as well. So that's a great starting point. So if you want to shred in the shortest amount of time possible, I highly suggest learning all of today's licks. As always, you can download the tabs, get the profiles and video play alongs for all of these really cool licks on patreon.com/Bernd. Over there you can also get some personal feedback and coaching from me in case you have any questions concerning your technique or your progress. So to quickly summarize, my personal step 1 was getting my right hand into shape with alternate picking and working on some cool tremolo riffs and licks like that one. Let's move to the second lick. So the idea behind this approach is introducing the string transitions, slowly introducing them. We're not playing an entire scale up and down yet with alternate picking. We're just playing 3 notes on one string and then we hop to the next string before we continue that pattern. So whenever you practice patterns like that, when you're moving from one string to the next, you should really watch your pinky finger. When you actually practice this for the first time, it might look a bit like that. Your pinky finger is completely bending away as soon as you reach the next string because you used it for the last time right here. Then you don't need it anymore, so it's bending away like that. So when you practice this one, please keep a close eye on your left hand. In the best case, it looks like that all the time, so the fingers are really close to the fretboard. It shouldn't look like that whenever you switch between the strings. And when you're transitioning between the strings with your right hand, with the picking motion, you also want to make sure not to get stuck between the strings and to hit the previous string or any other string that you don't want to hit when you're transitioning to the next one. As you can see, when I'm playing like that, when things get a bit faster, I really focus on my fingers not touching the strings like that, so they're bending away just a little bit, and my pick is always breaking out of that dead zone between the strings so that I can make the transitions as fluid as possible. So to quickly summarize that one, it's a great workout for your left hand to keep your fingers as close to the fretboard as possible, and it's also great for getting started with the string transitions with your alternate picking. Let's move to the third lick now. So this one might look and sound really challenging, fast and difficult, but it's actually not that bad. The cool thing about this lick, and the main reason why I chose to feature it on this list, is because it's what I like to call a cycling pattern. So throughout the entire sequence, it's just one picking pattern that I'm constantly repeating, and my left hand position is just changing within the scale, within the A minor scale in that case. So once you're able to play this super small pattern, you can actually just loop it over and over again, and the result is a pretty cool shred scale run that you can use for multiple scales on the highest two strings, for example, on the B and E string. So a bit slower, that is the basic idea. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So I'm repeating the first and the last note so that I get this kind of cycling pattern, and this is how it sounds like when I speed up the entire thing. So it looks and sounds much harder than it actually is. It's actually just one small pattern that you're looping again and again, and then you can move it through the scale like I did it in the actual lick that I demonstrated. So this is an approach I can absolutely recommend if you want to work in some ascending dramatic shred climax lines for your guitar solos. Working with repeating and cycling patterns like that one makes that much easier, and you will be able to do it quickly, especially if you're working with the video play alongs I recorded for you for this exercise. Now let's move to number 4, one of my absolute biggest favorites that I use pretty much all of the time. So it does get a bit more challenging right now. We're playing across all strings this time. And of course you can also move it a bit higher on the fretboard if the stretches are a bit tough around this area. Works just as well. And the main reason why I wanted to include this one on the list is because, once again, it's a lot easier than it actually looks. The interesting thing that we are doing here, maybe you figured it out already, is repeating certain scale phrases on the strings. So we're not just playing the 3-note per string scale up and down. As surprising as it might be, that is actually much harder to do than the previous example. The reason for that becomes much more obvious when we check out the picking patterns for both variations. So as you can see with the lick and overall pattern I want you to work on, you have the same kind of stroke for every single string. And when you just play a 3-note per string scale up and down, so 3 notes on every single string, of course the picking pattern turns around constantly. So on one string you're starting with a downstroke, on the next one with an upstroke, then with a downstroke again, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke, and so on, and that is actually pretty challenging. So as soon as you spend some time with this particular lick, you will see that it's much easier to switch between the strings, since you're always starting with the same kind of stroke on every single string. And that of course makes it much easier to speed the entire thing up. We're sadly running out of time for today's episode. Let's move to lick number 5. So this quite interesting pattern is for all of you that actually want to work on something different than alternate picking. This one is actually based around the sweep picking, or in this case economy picking approach, I would say. So a very common way of playing patterns like that is actually sticking to alternate picking, like with the previous examples. But as you can see, it's actually quite tricky because my pick is essentially hopping back and forth between the strings like that. So a great workaround for that one is to work with economy picking, so essentially with a sweep picking approach. For that, where you're just moving like that. So there are really just 2 strokes, one on the D string and one on the G string, both downstrokes, and you're not playing both strings separately like that. It's one down movement, like with sweep picking or with arpeggiating a chord. So with just those 2 picking strokes, it's actually quite easy to speed that one up. In fact, I recorded an entire episode about this really cool trick because it sounds quite original. I really like that kind of playing style and it also feels good. And in that video, I'm comparing that to alternate picking directly if you want to check it out. So I really hope that I could help you out on your shredding journey with today's video. Don't forget to download your tabs, guitar profiles and really helpful video play alongs for all of those licks on patreon.com/Bernd and join the Shred Guitar community over there today. As I mentioned, this is also the perfect way of getting in touch with me in case you have any questions. We have a secret VIP Facebook group where we are exchanging videos, songs, ideas, licks, exercises and all of that fun stuff. And of course, I'd also love to welcome you over there. In the end, make sure to subscribe to finally join our awesome community on YouTube. Leave a like in case you enjoyed that one and a comment to share your thoughts. I will hopefully see you in the next video. All the best and have a lot of fun practicing until then.